What I love about a bear market is you get great talent. So every 4 years is kind of the cycle. It's a little bit of kind of fireside conversation right now to kick off. There's like a filter. So let's say, for instance, over 4 years, we gain 10 units of people, just say hypothetically. But then when the bear comes, we lose 7 of those. Those 3 become founders. Those 3 become investors. Those 3 make it. The other 7 filters out, not an issue. So when the market corrects, think of it like a tank, and it's just washing the oil, doing an oil change. Because you can literally correlate, I kid you not, and I wish I had the stats with me right now, you can literally correlate grassroots Web3 communities and billion-dollar Web3 companies. You can actually correlate that together. So in Australia, we had Synthetics. Synthetics went to obviously being a huge mega billion-dollar company. We have Immutable X as well, and a variety of other companies that are definitely worth mentioning, but press on. From that, they go to a VC. They go find younger version of themselves, smarter version of themselves, fund them, get their projects off the ground, and now you have a literal Merkle tree of strength, power, and intelligence. So if any of you are on part of like a meetup group, or there isn't a meetup group near you, go make one. And that kind of leads into the idea of training and mentoring, because a lot of the training and mentoring comes from peers. And there'll come a point where your knowledge hits a certain cap where you can't go to YouTube anymore, you can't go online, and you have to rely on white papers. Like white papers will be your next level of education. And when you know you hit that, that's when you can probably say you're a consultant or an expert or any level of that. But moreover, have conversations and don't be embarrassed by what you say, because we're all learning too, even Ethereum. Like literally have the biggest research teams talking about ideas that you hope they knew about.
Thanks for the intro.
Yeah.
All right, so hi everyone. So we're here to talk about training and mentoring. So I'll be the moderator for the panel. So I'm Antonin, I'm the co-founder of Workinblockchain. To quickly talk about what it is, we are a Web3 job board that focuses on NFT rewards. So we reward candidates who get hired through our job board by becoming part of the community and receiving community benefits throughout their life. So we're here with 4 cool people, so we'll let them introduce each other.
Good evening. My name is Mehdi Labbani. I am a project manager, blockchain trainer at Alyra, and I'm also founder of LMM Consulting.
Hi everyone, my name is Joseph. I'm a private consultant and researcher in blockchain and Web3. I started back in 2012 building mining rigs out of milk crates and bread crates and very large motherboards. I've seen everything under the sun from blockchain Bitcoin crazes all the way through to ICOs, NFTs, DAOs, and now seeing that and mapping that out, I'm very keen to see what's going to happen next. So very keen to talk about that and how you can learn, train, and mentor yourself to get there.
Hi everyone. Is working here? Is working? Yeah, okay.
We're good.
Just to be sure. Nice to meet you. I'm Paul. I'm Paul Wolf. I'm co-leading Stack Talent, which is a blockchain recruitment agency. So basically what we do is like editing, looking at the right people at the right jobs. And basically what I'm here is because I'm, taking most of the time people from traditional job market to, the Web3 job market because, there's a big lack of talents in Web3, so that is what we do.
Hello, I'm Juan Kim. I'm the director of Masters of Blockchain at ESCE, which was the first fully accredited master's program in France for blockchain project design.
Awesome. So a lot of different profiles. So to go directly into the topic of Web3, you talk about Web2 as well. I wanted to ask the questions. If we put the skills aside, what's the difference between a Web2 and a Web3 candidate?
It really depends. I mean, what we see as talents is most of the time, if you're patient by Web3 and want to enter the ecosystem, you should do. Most of the time you could use your former skills to go into blockchain. I mean, for only a few jobs, you need special blockchain skills. It's better to really understand the ecosystem, we have some special jobs that are, smart contract developers, which is quite special. Even for community management, it's special when you're doing it on Discord, etc., etc. But most of the time, if you're doing marketing in Web2, you could help doing marketing in Web3. If you are like a full stack developer, it's, well, basically really common to go into Web3, and it's so easy. So, well, come.
I'll answer this question from a marketing perspective because I'm also a marketing professor. So when you go into Web3 marketing, it is not just get as many people on social media and try to go viral, which is kind of in the marketing perspective, that would be a 3.0 perspective. And we're in the 4.0 era, which is community building. And community building means that you don't spend money on advertising. You don't pay people, hopefully influencers, but even though that happens quite a bit, that's why influencers are making so much money, not now, but in the crypto space. But the whole idea of community building is not to buy your way in, but really to develop this dialogue with people who can understand and build it brick by brick, and they will really they understand the struggles that you have, and they can fight with you. They will be right with you through the difficult times, especially during this bear market. And this is why this bear market, we know which companies will survive, because those are the ones that have those communities, and the ones that bought their way in are probably going under. And so what makes a Web3 marketer, for example, is a person who understands that 4.0 philosophy. And it's, again, we can't confuse marketing 4.0 with Web3, but marketing 4.0, which is community building, and marketing 5.0, which we're moving into, is applying AI, applying understanding, not so much the technology, but understanding that it's more hyper-personalization now. And so that it's not just about building a community, but understanding what each person's motives are and anticipating those motives. And then using technology like AI to service those needs. And that's kind of where we're moving into. So when we get into today's, when we say talents that we need, we're going to need not necessarily people who know how to code AI or blockchain, but the people who understand that these objectives have a completely different approach than the objectives that we had previously, where we could buy our public.
I am agree with Kim and Paul to tell of Web3 for me. It's a real revolution, and in the market you have a few talent. It's a really problem, and for us, for Alyra, the challenge is to training a lot of people to win the revolution, to give up the Web2 or Web3, because a lot of profile in LinkedIn who tell we are the specialist of Web3, and in the two, it's not a specialist of Web3. It's a real problem for the agencies of recruitment, like Stack Talent, to find the profile who give of the company who match some projects in Web3.
Just so I'm clear, did you say Web 5?
No, okay, so it's marketing 5.0.
Okay, just want to check that out really quickly.
This is Kotler's...
Because I missed the whole web just then.
So it's not Web 5.
Okay,
Marketing
cool. All right, so going back to the question of, what is the difference between talent or skill sets between someone in Web 2 and Web 3? What's the difference between skill sets of a farmer and a carpenter, Really, we are looking at either very different skills or very similar skills. Both the farmer and the carpenter can be able to speak, they can do these presentations, they can talk on that topic. It's pretty universal. So same kind of thing, but then someone who needs to build a Web 3.0 single sign-on or a smart contract, or make a whole new ERC standard or research, that's a little bit more different and potentially far more complicated. I have a set of questions that I ask anyone that says they work in Web 3 and says they're an expert. And the 4 questions that tells me everything about that person and their history, their involvement, the deployment of their capital, knowledge capital. The 4 questions are, and I've really actually mentioned this, and I'm going to mention right now because it's recording and I'm talking. But no, the questions are, what are your thoughts on USDT, Cardano, BSC, and Ripple? No, there's no negative comments, there's no bad comments. It really is open-ended to understand exactly what they've experienced, how they feel about it, and equally where it's going to go next. So those questions I ask for anyone that wants to come into Web3. And vetting a lot of people and a lot of talent that say they're experts in metaverse or experts in tokenizing dogs, who knows. What I care about first is the social aspect. Being a good person is really critical to being in this environment, in this ecosystem. We start off as crypto anarchists. The only difference now is I have a tie and a desk, right? That means we still have the same goal in mind. Decentralization of public goods leading to, obviously, decentralized society and decentralized finance being the wealth creation. Decentralized society being the reputation and trust element, identity element as well. That's where we're heading. So either as an industry, we can go down the route of private blockchains and centralization, which is not an issue. They all have use cases, mind you. Technology is not evil. Even the people who use it, it's mostly the perspective of it. But that's going to be their decision. But when you see how we mentioned Denbar's law of 150 people being the maximum amount you can actually understand, know, and see, and remember, we have a method of actually going further than that in the first time in history. So now we can either take that on board and run with it, or we can go down the route of letting Bitcoin being more centralized. We go down the route of DAOs being taken over. We go down the route of blockchains not actually having the right level of nodes, or equally just saying, I guess that's enough, and not actually looking deeper. So what makes someone Web3 and a crypto native is someone who cares about decentralization, not maxing on it, but cares, and equally are working towards it and are willing to fight for it. So, bit maxi there, but you know.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So we're talking about training. So maybe let's dive a little bit more into the education part of it. I keep hearing education is the key, education is the key, education is the key. Yet, I struggle to see any, no, not educated people, but I start to see, free education, I start to see stuff like this, but we still lack a lot of events, a lot of people that actually provide free educations on Web3. What do you think is the big challenge in educating people towards Web3?
When we pitched our masters to ESCE, which is an engineering school, we got 0 response. And I thought it was my personality, and I thought it was like smelling myself, like what's going on. And I realized that for engineers, blockchain is just a language. So they have this ego that, oh yeah, this is not a career yet. There's no companies hiring. Right now there are. If you're a facility programmer, you're making a lot of money. But other than that, at the time, this is back in 2018, 19, like they just looked at it as like, yeah, it's a language I can learn. I'm going to take a few courses and then I'm going to find a job on the side and I'm going to make a lot of money. That's how engineers looked at it. Now, on the other side, business side is that, oh yeah, we can blockchain everything. And then that was the gap. Was in 2017 we had all these fake ICOs because we think we could blockchain, starting with porn and everything, we could blockchain, and all of us, and we realized that it doesn't work that way. And so this gap between the two sides of ignorance, which is the engineering side, which is either too technical, and the other side on the business side, which is, oh, we're just add an API. Right, it's going to work. Right, we saw the failure, and we experienced that failure for 18 months of a bear market. But it was during those 18 months the companies that really built really understood the both sides of the spectrum: the business side, community building, the marketing, as well as the technical side and the development and the innovation. And so the education part in today is very, very important to not just assume that these concepts could be easily understood. For, I guess, as a consumer, but to our builder, because there is a dialectic being held on, right? So you have to be one step above, but you cannot be too far. And so this is why education is important, because it's not necessarily getting a diploma, but it's understanding that dialectic where we are in that process, and to not be too forward or not to be behind. And also the understanding how the education has evolved, because back in my day it was trying to understand Ethereum. Now it's how to understand interoperability, for example. And so we're on a completely different level now. So this is why education keeps evolving.
In Alyra, for example, in the beginning, I have 10 person, 10 to learn or 10 person. 5 months, 10 to be 50. 1 year, I have to mentoring 2,000. 2,000. It's amazing. It's amazing. All the people who want to keep up the opportunity of the job market in blockchain now, and I agree with Kim. It's very important to find the difference with opportunity with blockchain and the opportunity is don't. It's important without blockchain. Blockchain is not the solution of all the problem, but it's an opportunity now to keep us and to help all the people who want to learn blockchain and this opportunity of jobs.
Well, I think education, well, Zedina understands that it's not the way, but all right. So for me, the first step to bring people into blockchain would be to attract them, because education is really needed. It's really the key to have people understood how all of this is about. But people have to make the first step. So I would say my personal mission, the mission I take for myself is to get people interested into crypto, into blockchain in general, because you could talk to anyone. I think in the end, I think it's just a tool, but it's so awesome to me. It's like creating so much value that for anything you could be interested about, it has a solution. I mean, you can talk blockchain with someone which is doing like finance, it has interest, with someone which is like into engineering, someone which is into gaming. Anything could be enhanced with blockchain. So for me, the first step is to attract people and then to retain them into training, into formation in general, like with free content everywhere. We have resources, we have good professors, we have good teachers, we have good programs. We have to develop this aspect, but the first thing is to bring people to the ecosystem.
110%. No, that was good. I was doing that. No, that's good. No, so 100%. You need people to be interested, right, to even go through that first door. I'm in a position every day where when I talk to people, might be a family office or institution, who might not care about it or don't know about it. You really don't like it at all, right? And having to get them from there to, wow, there is something here, can take a long time. So I think for anyone, it's about understanding the foundational elements of what a blockchain is, what a cryptocurrency is, what an NFT is, right? If you can't understand the foundation, you will go through a whole level of education yourself, self-educated probably, and you'll hit a wrong door in the future. Might it be being a developer, might it be you double down into consultancy, might it you go into research, and you look at it in a completely different lens to how you should have. So blockchain. Blockchains are solving for trust, immutability, auditability. You can probably add on a few more buzzwords there, right? But really, that's what we're looking at. NFTs, receipts of proofs of provenance. Great. Cryptocurrency, solving for wealth and a value. Basic. SBTs, identity, reputation. DeFi, leaner economic institutions, leaner financial institutions. I'm going through very basic level, because if we can't identify in the 3 words, then go back to board, even if you're an expert. Because I go back to board every day. I read, it sounds terrible, not by candlelight, but I do read, the Bitcoin white paper every once in a while to understand if I really know this technology. But equally, going to white papers, reading from people who are creating theoretical blockchains, that is insane, because these people are 10 years ahead of us. So if I'm thinking about bringing people into Web3, grassroots communities, being gentle, you have to be really gentle because you can't have anyone feel like they can't say or ask a question. So make an environment people can ask questions, pitch ideas, and equally have a think tank. Don't be the arbiter of your knowledge. Be open. Be decentralized. If I get things wrong, and I do get things wrong, I want people to call me out. Because if I go down and 5 years right with a wrong idea of a certain piece of technology, remember, anything that I put on or my clients put onto the chain, that's there forever. So if I spend another 5 minutes reading a white paper, and right now I run one of the world's first global white paper review communities, where we have a lot of executives from commercial banks, whatever else, and we actually are looking at reviewing Nick Szabo's 1996 smart contracts white paper. We're going right back to basics, even before 31st of October 2008, because that's where it began. So go back to the beginning, learn from the ground up, from bottoms up, and listen to people who really know what they're talking about by execution, and equally by you can have some level of like social, trust or don't pay for a course. I'm sorry for people who are obviously charging for a course, but like go online, learn first, then go do that when you're ready to become an expert.
Awesome. If I could add something, I'm out of my moderator role, but
No, please. Buy side.
what one said, for me, it brings a value, a notion of also an issue of psychological or philosophical. Because for me, when I talk to people, the first thing they say when I talk about crypto is, meh, money, scams, NFTs, bullshit. 85% of the people I meet. And I have to spend maybe 30 minutes so they understand that I would say blockchain, crypto, Web3 might not be the same thing. And then to explain, okay, let's go back to the beginning. What is a blockchain, blah, blah, blah. And then from that, they're like, okay, maybe it's not a scam, but what about, and then we can start talking. So I think a lot of education is going to be philosophical and psychological to make them understand that, yes, we make money in crypto, but it's not all that matters. There's the decentralization aspect of it, of course, the own your data. So there are more topics than just money.
One of the key points I actually call out really early on when people like decentralized finance is a scam, I'm gonna lose my money and don't take my, if people who have been about it, like don't take my money. And actually what I go to is Aave. Because Aave is the most beautiful protocol out there. I really do think so because it's so simple an approach. And if you are into math and formulas, I highly recommend reading the white paper. They literally have given out some of the most brilliant variable interest rate formulas that you can ever find. So if you are going to go make any level of like a neobank in the future, go look at them, read the white paper, trial them out, go to Ropstein, whatever else. But what I say to people who don't believe in decentralized finance, I give an example of an Australian bank, right? I won't mention the bank because it's recording, but the bank is, you have the flagship product, and back when I did this research, I think their interest rate was, if you deposited, was 0.35%. It wasn't much, right? But then you could borrow at 3% or 3.5%, right? So there's obviously a lot of margin, obviously for the central banks, equally to that as well, people actually obviously need to borrow the money and have a margin on that. So I would say, what if I told you could have parity interest rates? What about if you could actually deposit and borrow at the exactly same rate? How cool would that be? And they said, that'd be great. Would you like to earn 3.5% of your money with no loss of it? With no chance of loss as long as you don't lose your private keys. That's great. Because in Australia, if the bank goes under, down under, ironically, the government can only guarantee you up to $250,000. You had even a cent over, that's gone. But you get $250,000. Pretty cool. Decentralized finance, you get all of it. Just don't lose your private keys. Got multi-sig. So show them the benefits by presenting it like a pitch. Credibility of yourself understanding this problem, big social problem, their problem, big solution, and then insights. Then wrap that together and you have your pitch ready. So get a better way of just explaining a blockchain. I use the post office method. Figure that out. I'm not going to say it right now, but figure out how you can use a post office and a post truck as the vehicle for a blockchain. So
cool. So we talked about training, and now I would like to talk about the next keyword. I would say it's mentoring. So we keep hearing about mentoring, but what is mentoring? How do we find a mentor? Maybe you have examples. Are you yourself a mentor? Were you a mentee before? Can you maybe explain to us how you found your mentor and how, if there is anyone here who is looking for one, how they can find that?
Oh, sorry. I would love to take this one if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. So, actually, it's funny enough. One of my first major mentors was here today. I actually have never met him before, and he was here because we wanted to catch up, and I was in Paris. So he came by, and he was the one that actually taught me how to get great mentors. And so now to date, I have about 18 or 19 different mentors where I get all my education from every part of my life. Meditation, lifestyle, blockchain. So one of my mentors is the global blockchain lead of AWS, Shipe and Derek. And I got that through another mentor. And that's kind of what we find. Because when you find people who really care about you and want to leverage you to the maximum extent of what you could be, those are the people you want to contact. So even now, I've become a mentor. I mentor a DAO called Angel Alliance. If anyone hasn't heard of Angel Alliance, they're bringing through 20 VC analysts and interns, female VC analysts and interns, to Web3. So VCs can hire them, Web3 companies can hire them, startups can hire them, and so you can analyze projects. And so I do regular workshops with them. I talk to them. I go to London for them. And that's how it begins. People who just really care about you succeeding. And if you are a mentee, right, and you want to chat, please find me on LinkedIn. I would love to chat. There's a whole level of people that I'd love to introduce you to if you have a problem. More to that point, if you are a mentor, always make sure you know you're wrong. And find other mentors you can talk to about a subject before you explain it back. As well, last point, if you want to do something and have regular engagements with your mentor, don't do like an hourly with them once a month. Do a project. Do a collaborative post. Because I can guarantee you that will lead to a job. Lead to a clout, exposure. So do a project, don't do hours. That's my piece.
Well, about Stack Talent, we are kind of coaching people to find the best position for them. I mean, it's kind of our mission too. I mean, we have good talents, we have good people everywhere, but sometimes it's difficult to find their way. So we try to find in what they have done, in who they are, what would be the best suitable position. And because we know that someone is at its best when it's doing what is, well, really liking. So the issue for us is to really identify what would be the best match between a company's, I would say, atmosphere, mindsets, and the really being of the talents. So that's what we do. But maybe on this one, I would like to Mehdi, which is quite, I think, a good mentor for Alyra, and which is too humble to say it, so I have to introduce it. But which he coached a lot of people there. So
thank you, Paul. I want to add. It's very important to love to be mentor. It's very important. It's important to be patient and very organized, because the mission for the mentor is to help the learners to win mission for all the challenge. If you want not patient, it's not possible to win, to be a good mentor. For me, in this experience, I have to be patient, organized, to love my learners to win the challenge. It's very key to be a good mentor. I want to have 2,000 learners in 2 years. 2,000.
I just want to add, in the blockchain field, there's so many different possibilities in terms of what kind of jobs that are available. So it could be marketing, it could be programming, it could be building, it could be consulting. There's so many. What I loved about our program, we had 10 students, 2 failed, 8 of them who stayed all went into different fields. None of them went into the same field. And the reason why was because they were already professionals. They were more mature. They were not young people. So they didn't come to our program asking for, like, I want to be a professional programmer in the marketing. It was really a project. It was called Blockchain Project Design. And each of them had their own interest. And what I loved about our program was that the teachers are the mentors. When they come, they work at companies. They're already running projects, like they worked at Av, and so they come and they are looking for talent. And so the best schools already have, or programs already have, that exposure. So whatever you're interested in, those classes it's a discovery process, and that discovery process could lead to a relationship, which happened, and that's how they discovered. Each of them went in their own directions. And I think that what's important is to know who. First of all, what are you interested in? Are you interested more in programming? Are you interested more in entrepreneurship? Are you interested more in marketing? And what you will see is that you will push yourselves towards that direction, and to see where the needs are, like which company is hiring at the moment, and you will see that gap that you don't have, that skills that you do need, and that skills may seem very, very far away because they will say at least 5 years experience, right? And no one has 5 years experience in the blockchain field. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, with 5 years experience, and we want, and no one has that. And so the reality is that they're going to work with people that they know, that they trust, that they worked with, like you said, and that can incrementally scale in, and it starts very humbly as an internship or as something very small. But the field is growing so quickly that you go from intern to project manager like in 6 months, so quickly. Yeah, as soon as they see that you can do something, you're there, right? And so so that's why I think the field is so exciting, because you start as an intern, but you grow so quickly. One of my students who are right now, who's not in, she's just in an MBA program, marketing. She just got an offer from Engine, and to do marketing, because Engine just figured out that they have to do community building. so it finally took it. So now what that opens up for her is now she's exposed to one of the biggest growing fields, which is the video game marketing field. And so her career, I see the next 3 years, very, very bright. She's going to be in so much demand, but she's an intern now. She's starting off at very low, right? Not just a little bit above an intern, but yeah, senior. Okay, let's say senior intern, not getting paid very well, but I see huge growth, and so this is why I find that just getting your foot in the door somehow as an intern into a fast-growing company or field or project is the key. But to get in, you still need to know. You cannot get in without knowing the fundamentals of what Web3 is, what Web3 marketing is, for example. That you cannot just have a marketing plan and launch it like you would if you learned in a regular school. You really have to understand what is community building. How do you build it? It's almost an antithetical marketing strategy to marketing. I call it anti-marketing marketing. Right? And so this is why a lot of students are confused, because they're taught traditional marketing, and they come to my class and I tell them everything that they learned was wrong. The Web3 doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Maybe that's why they didn't want to do your program. So they didn't want you to unlearn everything they learned before.
Oh yeah, exactly. Some of the students, they don't understand me. Mr. Kim, he's out and he's in another world.
So you guys mentioned community a couple of times. Do you think the community kind of changed the role of the mentors and the mentees? Because now, you could literally have access to community, and everyone could be a mentor to anyone, and anyone could be a mentee to anyone. Or maybe I'm completely out of my mind.
Well, when you do community building in Discord, it's kind of like that in a way. Yeah. So you, in a way, you kind of give your time for free, and later you work your way into having more responsibility, but you get rewarded in tokens rather than a job necessarily. But then they realize that that's not enough, because you need more structure, you need a plan. So there are Discord experts, and now it's becoming the CRM. It's coming CRM for Web3 projects, and so you don't necessarily need a CRM, but now it's maturing towards that eventually, like there's CRM, Discord. But the thing is that it's when you look at mentoring, it's varied, because you can have that kind of light mentoring, And then you can have some really, from the business strategy side, all the way to understanding the deep product building, product management, product owner stuff. And so, yeah, it's different, yeah, you know.
Decentralize your learning. Get dozens of mentors. Don't say, wow, this is it, right? One of my mentors is a chairman of one of the biggest consulting firms in the world, right? But I wouldn't say to myself, that's enough for me. I say, great, I need to focus my energy and time with a very select area where I know he can give me the most benefit from and equally myself back to him. So again, when I say about 18 or 19 different mentors, each of them have a different vertical that you play in, and equally as well, they have some kind of crossover, because then I can actually trust their knowledge at the end of the day. And then for myself as well, being a mentor, like, I have to be really critical about what I say I know, what I really know, and then what actually happens in the end and what they get out of it. So be critical of everything. Always be open to new knowledge, and equally start getting mentors today. Like, low challenge everyone. And this is the challenge that my mentor who was here, Isaac Cohen, who was here, the challenge he gave me was, Joseph, go find 3 impossible mentors. In the end, I got the chairman, I got the head of blockchain at AWS, and I got another one that's the head of a very large flying office. Because I said, I'm gonna go do that. So everyone here, doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter if you're inexperienced or very experienced, you're an expert or your first time, go find 3 impossible mentors and get them today.
But just to add to
yourself.
that, don't go to people and say, can you be my mentor?
No, don't do that.
That's how you not to get a mentor, is to go to someone and say, can you be
please.
my mentor?
And then burst them for, like, airdrop them NFTs as they please. No, honestly, like, contact them and just say, like, this is my thing, I see you do this, I would love to obviously have a conversation, and before you know it, they will see either something from themselves in you, and equally they want to see this succeed, or equally you'll come to the point where you're a brilliant person, you're a critical thinker, you're kind. Like, those are the kind of characteristics that you can't really quantitate in an interview, but equally are critical when it comes to building projects, especially in an entire industry based on societal development. So be a good person, go find great mentors, be critical of your knowledge, and go get 3 impossibles. Yeah. Sure. I can say so.
The last one to be a good mentor, to be patient. It's very important to repeat this word, to be patient, because it's very difficult to be a mentor for a lot of trainers. Because if you have more than 10 or 100, it's very difficult to be a good mentor in the long times. Okay, and I agree with Kim and Berverley to say. I am agree with what you say. It's okay for me.
Thank you.
And maybe we can do like mentoring with everyone. I mean, you can be like in a long relationship, etc. Like building with something, and that is courageous, and I really demand it.
Please go on.
But also you can be like also a small mentor for every phase of, well, anything. I mean, you're with, I don't know, student clubs or anything, you're discussing with people, you may transmit some knowledge, and you may, well, coach people like individually just for a few moments, but they go ahead with you, and that is a big thing. So just helping each other like this would be just a little act, which is valuable.
We are running out of time, so we have to go to the next question. So before asking my last questions, so how many of you guys actually have a mentor? 1 person? We just talked about it for 10 minutes. I mentioned life in general, and maybe in blockchain, but it doesn't need to be in blockchain specifically. Okay, so 1 person, two people. Okay, that's interesting.
Go get 3.
Yeah, right. So I wanted to ask to have my last questions. A lot of challenges in Web3, right? So many more in Web2. So actually, how do we do in Web3 when we haven't solved the problems in Web2? And the main question is, how do we not reproduce the errors we've been doing in Web2? So I'm talking about diversity, inclusion, even that education part of it, income, opportunities, etc. How do we not reproduce the same mistake?
So again, go foundational. What are we solving for with blockchain? Trust, traceability, certainty, immutability, 5 other buzzwords, it doesn't matter. Now you apply that to, wow, a company just said, we're bridging the wage gap, right? We can actually check that. We can actually have a small contract, and you can actually lose money because of that. Why not? Why don't we have that? Well, because it's very hard to solve for certainty right now in Web 2, but we can do it in Web 3. So actually, the primitives that we wish we could have made in Web 2, we can make in Web 3. So leave that technology, not all the way, because we still need it for the time being, and we move to Web 3, and we create certainty of impact. I will pay everyone equally. Great, we can quantify that. We can ramp that data, and we can actually make sure you lose, you feel pain, or you feel benefit if you do or don't.
What I find very unique about this Web3 space or blockchain space is the fact that it's already global and international already. So companies that are decentralized, and if you look at the developer teams, they're from all around the world. And the biggest problem is trying to find that 1 hour that everyone can meet, during the day, right? And so so these are a new challenge, but these are things that are highly exciting because the talent is so dispersed throughout the world. And so you're not just competing with people in France. You're competing with people throughout the entire world. And trust me, there are brilliant people. Everything you do, there's someone 10 times better, always say, throughout the world, yeah. And so it's a very competitive field when you view that. But then also, it's a very small field. So this is why we have come to these conferences and then actually put a face to that. Wow, Web 654, tagline, number, so we can actually, oh, you're that guy, right? And so it becomes very, these conferences become very, very important because we actually see especially during a bear market like this, these are the best times because the people who are hiring now are probably the companies that are going to be the big players in the coming bull market. And trust me, this time around is a lot better than back in 2018 and 19, when really there was a doubt that things would go to zero. And it was those companies that were hiring at that time or surviving at that time. And this is when we actually launched our blockchain masters, and which was at a very precarious time. And but I can see now we're at a different time because now these kind of projects are more flushed with cash. They understand the strategy. They understand that a mass adoption is coming, and they're positioning for it. And so right now is a great time, and not be afraid of this, what I would say, international very competitive and nature. But at the same time, it's that competitive nature that keeps things honest. There's going to be less of the bro culture that is going to happen in blockchain. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. So we're running out of time. I don't know if you have something to add or... Okay.
Maybe just about, I would say, the challenges we have to solve are so about inclusion. Well, Web3 is naturally, I would say, better at the roots to include people in terms of employment because, well, it has no border. You can work from remote. You can work, from any place in the world, etc., etc. But we have to preserve it. It's the same thing for centralization, decentralization. At first, Web2 was decentralized. We had all our email address, like arrobas, everything, our own name. But today, we all use Gmail. We have Binance, which is growing and growing. So we have to keep this ecosystem decentralized as we want it to be. And we have to also take the inclusion, going up, etc., gender inclusion, etc. Today there is an issue about gender inclusion too, because there's a few women in the field that is difficult to reach women. Well, our clients are asking for women, etc. It's difficult to have the necessary population going through the Web3. So we have to do things about it too.
Definitely. So thank you so much, guys. Do you have, very hard task, but do you have 1 or 2 words, like literally like 4 seconds each, something you'd like to add to their audience if they have to remember one thing out of this conversation? Or not. 2 words. They can do 2 words. Even 3. Literally.
Add my LinkedIn. I'll tell you the rest.
Open mind. And to go in the events like this, it's very important to go to the event to make our connection with the people.
Well, I would say attract people to Web3. Come.
Just don't say, "Can you be my mentor?"
That's the final word. All right, thank you so much, guys.